Good morning. Sorry, I'll stop eating here in a minute. We just got in a small order from Walmart delivered to the door. It's just $100 order. We'll order. Or the Darlene will order here in probably a few days or a week. I paid for this order. Usually she does. She pays for all the groceries, really. I'm having French onion dip. And potato chips, and I have dip all over my fingers. Last night, I should have gone to bed. I mean, you know, I stayed up. I was staying up. Well, we just switched where we gave up Hulu service, and I added not Show Me. Let's see. Showtime to the Paramount Plus, and it was only $3 or $4 to get it, and I was paying for Hulu $18 a month, or a little bit over $18 a month, and and Showtime, now at first it might have taken maybe a little bit for them to, you know, for the thing to sense that, because there wasn't any search, and so I went through it page after page, and then I was telling Darlene, well, I mean, it's okay, but I said they have some things that, you know, I want to watch that I've watched before that I'll watch again or something, but it said there's no search, and you can't have a start, you know, put the things you know that you want to watch that you run across, you know, in the thing, and then a little bit later, those things turned up. So I guess it took a little while for it to. So I watched Hugo. Great movie, and I don't know how. Well, it'll be probably an hour and a half movie or something. I stopped it because when it got towards the end, which is kind of cute, but I'd seen it a number of times, so I stopped. And then I decided to mess with my computers, which I don't tell anybody. I promise not to mess with the computers because they're working right now. And so I hooked up the different monitors, and then I went back to the, you know, two monitors side by side. Oh, you can't see me doing my little hand routine here. Side by side or whatever. And I kept the one monitor that I really like, and that I badmouthed for many years. And but I ended up switching out. Well, first I put in one of my monitors that's really widescreen, and then I realized, no, I've done that before. I knew I'd done it before, but I thought, no. So I went back, but I went back to one different of the two monitors here. I kept the ViewSonic, and I have on my wish list, I would like the new ViewSonic for a number of reasons. So down the road a piece, I'll have to end up buying it myself. And so anyway, apparently nothing has been degraded, so I haven't messed things up again. The audio's working okay. This is all the dip I'm going to eat right now. We ordered in a bunch of donuts, an assortment, and I want to have at least one of those. And then go to bed. On the 1st of the month, my son has a nurse that's going to come out. It's the first time that's happened for him, I think, that he's got a nurse that's going to come out and check him here for whatever they can, check on. And the insurance company or whatever will give him, $50 for letting them come out and do that. Now, Darlene has had them, I don't know how many different times they have. In the beginning, I think it was $40, that, and I think it was on a card, they came out, and she talked to them stop while they were doing the check on her, that she got polio when she was 5, and she has post-polio syndrome, and that she's had cancer, and she just goes through all of all of this stuff. And then after that, I don't know how long, they called, I think the same insurance company, that she has. They called and wanted to know if they could come out and, check her and, to ask her how her blood pressure is and do those kind of things, to try to make sure you don't end up in the hospital costing the insurance company tons of money. And I think they gave her a blanket or something like that. And then a time or two after that, but 40 I think is the most that she ever got, and Jimmy is getting 50 right off the the bat. So anyway, he's going to use, I told him, he said, you need to use my room. I said, I'll get out of the, I'll make sure my room is, I don't have the, because every time I look for something, it all goes on the bed. And I said, okay, don't worry, And first he said, no, he'll use his room. And I said, no, his room is like a hazmat area. I said, no, So now he's agreed that he's going to, bring the person in this room, and I'll get out of the way and stay out of the way. Well, I think Darlene and I have the same insurance company, but I think they know better than to call me. Don't fucking call me. And I don't want anybody coming to, So, well, I signed up, well, I don't know how I'm not sure how long, Google Fi, and for internet or for cell phone service, and you're supposed to be able to tell your cell phone, when you're at home in your, network area, that to use Wi-Fi and not use any data. And so for a couple of months, everything was okay. And then all of a sudden, instead of me getting, I don't know, a, whatever it is, $30, from Google Fi, and I don't really use any, but they were, I think I changed cell phones. I think that did it. And anyway, I got, I forget what it was, $50 bill for the month instead of $20 or something. And then it's happened a couple times since. And then I got a friend, he has the same, Google Fi, the same thing, and he's had bigger bills than that. And so anyway, I had before I went to Google Fi, I had Mint, and it was excellent, worked fine for me. But I was sort of enamored by the Google Fi, you know. And so I went with, so anyway, I just filled out the stuff. I have some Google Fi SIM cards here, but I went ahead and paid to have, you know, a new one sent to me. I don't want to, so they'll get it here pretty quick, and then I should be able to just pop it into my Samsung Galaxy Note 9, and it should work. And then I'll have to make sure I cancel Google Fi. I also have, which I don't really use, well I do use, I send all everything to I have another you know, Google phone number. That's pretty fantastic. You know, years back they said they were probably going to do away with the free, you know, the free Google phone numbers. They're still doing it. And so I just direct a whole bunch of stuff to that, and I never check it, you know. Let's see, so I'm still using a Manicam. Let's go over here and see what we can turn up here. See what's going on CNN. Yeah, this is amazing, this thing of, apparently it's like the Russian government, they have a private army, I guess sort of like a contract security guard thing you'd have here or something, you know, but it's an army. And the leader of it, Wagner, I guess, wields quite a bit of, and there's been all types of things, problems between him and Putin. And you don't want to mess with Putin, because Putin's people who give him any kind of a problem, or he doesn't like the look on their face or something, I guess in Russia they must not have very good windows, because an awful lot of people, news reporters and everybody else, seem to fall out when they have a trouble with Putin. They seem to fall out of windows, or else they die of some type of a poison or a radiation or something. And Putin even had, you know, at least a couple of people in the United Kingdom, in London. You know, one guy got, you know, he had left, it might have been the USSR at that time, and he left, and he was walking down the street and felt a pain in his leg, and a guy had poked him in the leg, and it had a deadly radioactive material that only the USSR used, or made weaponized or whatever. And the UK, they tracked it down because of where the guy had been that came over to kill this guy. Anyway, the guy knew, you know, and he suffered, I mean, for a while. He didn't die immediately. And he said, you know, hey, they poisoned me or whatever. He eventually died. But, I mean, so this Wagner, I don't know, you know, it looks like, you know, the Wagner army or whatever was heading for Moscow. And anyway, supposedly Putin and this Wagner have come to an agreement that Berlus, or whatever, that former Soviet part of a satellite nation when they were the USSR or whatever, is mediating it. But this, so anyway, they were heading to overthrow, you know, Russia, and because this guy's army, private army, put at the service of Putin for money and hardware and all types of stuff. So we'll see what happens. Thank God thank God that Trump didn't get reelected to the presidency, because before his term ended, he was trying to do away with the United States being part of NATO, and thank God that he did not accomplish that. That would have been disastrous. And also, let's see, what's his name? Trump. Trump also. Trump recently. He's gone. He's always stupid. Unbelievably stupid, and a little bit mentally ill. Trump has gone trot. When he was president, he didn't improve things. He went crazy, and he's even crazier now. But he's saying, when he does these crazy things where he confesses to everything. And of course, when he was president, he'd be at a press conference or something, or the people would be talking to him, and he'd be confessing to crimes. He didn't say, "Oh, I want to confess to doing such and such," but he would just be talking about how great he was, and he'd be, announcing that he was committing felonies. And now he's doing the same. Now that he's running for president again, and he gets interviewed, and he confesses to doing all these things. So my God. But in the last week or months or whatever, he said, well, I was elected, president, but Biden stole the election from me and then he goes through and calls, the Biden crime family and all this kind of stuff. But then Trump will say things like, Russia would not have invaded the Ukraine. If I'd have been president, I would have told him, that he couldn't do it, and he wouldn't have done it because we're buddies and best friends and whatever. And but it's true. Russia would not have invaded the Ukraine. Trump would have handed them the Ukraine. It's insane what's going on. And there isn't any way that Trump isn't going to be convicted of major crimes. It should, put him in prison for, the rest of what short little life that he has. And he's definitely going to be found guilty, and he's doing so many things that, there was a lot of talk by a lot of politicians, Democrats. Well, of course, the Republicans think that he's going to be president for life or something, like Putin. But, he has committed treason in so many different ways that you can't just let him stay at his resort, or something like that. And you don't want him, in the beginning probably some people were thinking, why doesn't he go with his lover? He called, that they loved each other, the head of the North Korea, and then about his buddy, whatever. But, Trump, for his 4 years that he was in office, and then of course stealing the classified documents, the most critical classified documents and stuff, stealing them and refusing to give them back. And so he does. I'm not sure if he could remember them, but or get them straight. But I mean, you don't want him to deflect. You don't want him to defect. You don't want him going to Russia or any place because he does have some, information. And so, I don't know. Because a lot of politicians, everybody else is saying, well, no, he's a former president of the United States and it just wouldn't look good and we can't, we can't put him in, but now the crimes that he's still committing. And I don't know what they're going to do with him. And I don't know how he's managed to survive because he's so crazy that you'd think his head would just explode or something or other. I guess being crazy must have some type of good effect or something because you don't know you're in trouble and you don't know you're stupid and you think everybody else is stupid. The things that Trump, he was on Fox News, I think it was, and Fox News really doesn't want anything to do with him really anymore. But they want to keep his fans. And he was on Fox News and others. I've seen him on other shows doing the same thing. And, one of the things that Trump said, that, when he was running for president, he said that he was a businessman and that he could pick the very best people, and he was going to pick the very best people. And how in the world he found people who were the worst people. I don't even know where you could find those people. He found them all. And they went to work for him, and then he fires them, or some of them, like, oh my God, I can't take this. This guy he's insane. You can't tell him anything. And so maybe some of them quit, but then he said he fired those. And so anyway, this Fox News reporter, which was surprising on Fox News, asked him about, okay, well, you said you were going to, hire the best people and that you could do that. And then you hired so-and-so, and then you fired him and you said that he was incompetent and had a small brain. It must have been 15 different people that this guy brought up that Trump, and then the guy, that's saying, again, well, you said you were going to hire the best people, but that you say all these people are idiots and morons and everything like that. How do you, and wow. And so, he's definitely going to be found guilty of major crimes, like treason. Maybe they won't actually be treason. But it's going to be everything else except the word treason, and it should be treason, So I don't know what they're going to do, with him, We don't want to be we are, I think on health care, we're like 27th and on internet speed and that kind of thing. I think we're like 17th in the world, Korea and Hong Kong and all these places are, have better internet service than we do and less expensive and everything else, but we don't want to be one of these countries that, executes their former leader or locks them up forever, and stuff. I mean, we don't want to be one. We want to be able to. Well, we want to be able to say we're not a third world country, but we are. Except in our military, we spend more. The United States spends more on military than I think the next 10 or 15 countries do. And but thank God that Trump didn't put an end to the United States as being the NATO country go-to, because that would have, if the United States actually pulled out, the rest of the countries, then they're not going to do NATO without the United States. So then Russia would have taken over the Ukraine, and they would try to regain all the countries they had as satellites, Czechoslovakia, Poland, and all that kind of stuff. They tried to do that, and so I do wonder. I do wonder what's going to happen between because with Wagner and his private army and Putin. The United States is partially, the Cold War came to an end. And I said back then, I was blogging back then, and I said, okay, and the Republicans were saying, they didn't say, United States won because of freedom and justice in the American way and that type of stuff. They said, oh, it's capitalism. It wasn't, and I blogged about that, and I said, hey, we don't want to treat them like, like we beat them or whatever. We want to cooperate with them, or else we're going to have trouble. They're going to come back between us, and let's work with them and whatever. But sure enough, the Republicans, oh, capitalism won, communism is no good, So, anyway, how long have I been talking? Almost 30 minutes, and I think that's enough. I better get in there before Darlene eats up all the donuts. And there's some... I'm going to get in there and get my share of donuts. And then I need to take a nap for the day, for I don't know how long I'll lay down, but I need to take a nap. So, let's see, what can I get you to do? Well, please use like the links, especially the Amazon links, because if you use that link and you go to Amazon, then if you purchase something, I get a small commission, and it is very small. Like I think it's like 1 to 3%. I don't think they're even supposed to tell. I think that's like a no, don't tell people what the percentage, it is that. But if now it doesn't cost you anything. I don't know why they would care. Now I did see recently that they put a thing out to people who are using links to them. It doesn't cost you anything if you click and go there, but it does pay. But I've talked about this numerous times. I don't think I've gotten any commissions from Amazon in 3, 4, 5 months or whatever. 1 month I did get $78, and I think another month I might have got $50 one time, but it's not. Okay, I was just looking at the headlines here. Belarus purported a mediation in the Kremlin crisis sketches credibility to its limit. Blinken says Wagner insurrection shows cracks emerging in Putin's rule. Putin has been shaken, retired general, on the effects of the Wagner insurrection. Analysis, chaos, 36 hours in Russia feels like the beginning of the end for Putin. Moscow has stepped back from civil war with Wagner, but dangers are not over. Not over for Wagner. And I think maybe not over for Putin. People have been mentioning, because there's been some video of Putin looking bad, you know, twitching and doing all kinds of stuff. And so I hope we can, well, of course it's going to take a long time before we can trust Russia now, but I hope things can, you know, hope we can end this thing and, you know, cooperate and work together. But how, you know, it'd be like trusting Hitler to trust Putin. And so I don't know. Anyway, I got to get in and get those donuts before the ex-wife eats them all. And she knows she wouldn't do it. She knows I was looking forward to them, and Jimmy's looking forward to a couple. So, and my voice is going out. So thank you very much for watching.